Dictionary.com's definition of normal is classified as conforming to the standard or the common type. Usual, not abnormal, regular, natural. So what is the standard? Society's view of normal is just this. One difference in the makeup of a considered normal human being is disregarded. This person isn't normal, therefore they're misunderstood. My name is Becky Shields, and I do not fit under this definition of normal. Let me take you back to grade 8 graduation 2013. I was valedictorian, won 3 awards, got my hair done up all nice, a pretty dress, and a nice dinner at the Mandarin after the ceremony. Sounds like the perfect night, doesn't it? It was a horrible night for me. My name was called and I got up to the podium to say my speech. A few minutes into my speech, my words began to slur. Nobody could understand me. I remember looking at one of my French teachers, trying to make the words form about how great of a teacher she had been to our graduating class, but I couldn't. One of the worst moments in my life when it should have been a moment of pure happiness. Taking pictures with friends and family, a lady came up to me and said to me, "Smile, dear." I still envision her, standing there, telling me to smile as if I had a choice. I wish I had had a choice. It was physically impossible for me to smile. It was something I couldn't control. I kept asking myself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I be like everybody else? Oh, you're just nervous. No, I wasn't normal. I had no idea I was battling as rare of an illness as Myasthenia Gravis. Imagine, as you wake up this morning, as you try to get up out of bed, your body has different plans. Your body feels like a boulder, like some invisible force is tying you to the bed, telling you that it's not time to get up this morning. This is what living with Myasthenia Gravis is like. Myasthenia Gravis, or MG for short, is a neuromuscular disorder causing extreme fatigue in all voluntary muscles. Symptoms include lazy eye, double vision, trouble chewing, swallowing, smiling, breathing, speaking, and weakness in the arms and legs. It can be controlled with various medications, a thymectomy surgery, or monthly in-hospital treatments, but at the moment is incurable. It affects 20 out of 100,000 people in the US, less in kids. It is usually seen in women in their 40s and men in their 70s or 80s. A diagnosis of MG is not an easy task. Before, when there was little education of myasthenia gravis, patients who came to doctors with such sporadic symptoms were thought to be crazy, that they were just imagining that all of this was happening to them. My journey of my diagnosis started at the optometrist in April 2013, where I was given glasses that would help correct my double vision. I was then referred to an ophthalmologist later in July 2013, who told me that the good news was that I didn't need eye surgery, which wasn't a concern of mine, but I still wasn't getting answers to all of my new developing symptoms. I went to my family doctor when I was having trouble with my voice, who gave me nasal spray thinking that it was just allergies. Of course, that didn't work. My words were still slurred. I went to my dentist when I was having trouble chewing and smiling, who gave me a mouth guard thinking I was grinding my teeth down because of stress while I slept. I was referred to a pediatrician in August 2013 who was stumped, who then referred me to a neurologist who I wouldn't be able to see until November. At this point, it was September, beginning of grade 9. First class, gym. Every morning, I would dread getting up to school, trying to explain the inexplicable to my gym teacher of why I couldn't run, why I couldn't do sit-ups or push-ups. Every night I would come home exhausted, pleading my mom to call and see if I could go see the neurologist any sooner. Of course, that wasn't possible. The neurologist was a very busy man. I struggled the first 2 weeks of high school, falling at my locker when I bent down to pick up something. I used my locker door to hoist myself up, praying that no one would enter the hallway and I would have to suffer the embarrassment of such an abnormality. I felt so alone. All I wanted was somebody, anybody, to come up to me and say, "I believe you." It wasn't until one night we knew we couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't get up off the toilet by myself. My mom took me to Sick Kids, where I was admitted and was finally diagnosed with myasthenia gravis and immediately started medication. This was a very scary time for me. being restricted from eating the first 2 days of being diagnosed because of the fear of choking. I had never been in the hospital before. This was all new to me. This was the beginning of a long journey. Medication up to 17 pills a day, a thymectomy surgery, and monthly IVIG infusions, which, in simple terms, is a blood infusion that gives me antibodies that gives me energy for up to 4 weeks. Many unpleasant side effects, lots of trips to Toronto, and a lot of adjustment to a new life. Of course, there was a lot of unwanted change that came with this new life. This new condition was something I felt was to be ashamed of. Nobody else is like this. I'm not normal. You see, the thing about living with an invisible illness is if people don't see it, then they don't believe it's there. Previous to being diagnosed, I was bullied by a girl in my grade. The comments this individual would make were nasty. She started name-calling, talking to my friends about me behind my back, swaying one of those friends to move tables in the cafeteria when I would try to sit with them, forcing me to sit alone. It wasn't until my mom told one of my teachers I knew I had to go to the principal and get it resolved. The bully said her reasoning was because, by my facial expressions when I looked at her, led her to believe that I didn't like her. At this point, I was exhausted. I couldn't control my face. Being newly diagnosed was tough. Coming to such terms with giving up so much was hard to take. I just felt so weak, and I had no drive for anything. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to live. I suppressed my condition. I didn't want anyone to know. I rarely hung out with friends, having sleepovers, going out because I was afraid. I was letting this disease control me. It bound me to my house. It restricted me from being social. This wasn't what I thought being a teenager was going to be like. I was uncomfortable when people, especially other students, would question my use of the elevator and why I had one of the bigger lockers, feeling like I was being interrogated for something I know now was none of their business. Although living with an invisible illness gave me an understanding of what type of struggles other people were dealing with. I've lived most of my life without my dad. For as long as I can remember, I was told he died of a heart attack when I was just 3 years old. I had always wondered what it would have been like to have had a relationship with my dad. It wasn't until last year I was sent an email from an angry family member outlining details of the past that I did not know. It was with this I learned that my dad committed suicide. I've tried so hard to process this, but on a daily, it's hard to believe. In times of anger, I've asked myself, why couldn't have I had the normal life? Why couldn't have I had a father for Father's Day? Why did you just give up? The answer? Depression. Depression is also an invisible illness. After these times of anger, sadness, confusion, and all emotions one would experience after hearing such shocking news, I had empathy for my dad. From experience, I know it's so tough living with an illness that nobody understands, that people don't understand because they don't see it, they don't feel it. MG and depression are two totally different conditions, but so I don't know exactly what he was going through, but I put myself into his perspective, and I've learned that not everyone will understand, and that's the first step to forgiveness. Forgiving him for leaving so soon, feeling sorry that he felt like he shouldn't breathe another moment. I wish my dad was here to be my dad, but here's what I did have. I had my Papa Bill. My pal, the one I spent many Father's Days with, the one that treated me as his favorite granddaughter, even though we weren't blood related. I am so thankful for all of the memories I have made with this man who didn't have to be in my life but chose to. One of the many relationships that has shaped me into the person I am today. I've learned strength and determination through watching my Papa Bill battle cancer so I could battle Myasthenia Gravis and my biggest fear in high school. No, I wasn't afraid of the dentist, or heights, or even scary movies. I was afraid of the school bus. Sounds like a strange fear, doesn't it? At the beginning of grade 9, before being diagnosed, I took the bus to a grade 9 mixer and my legs gave out on the steps. Fast forward to after being diagnosed, I tried the bus again. My legs gave out on the steps, and it felt like an eternity. I was kneeling there, helpless, feeling like everybody was watching me. I crawled up the last 2 steps into the aisle of the bus, hoisting myself up by 2 of the aisle seats. It was humiliating. I felt like I was being stared down at by all the older students on the bus. After the trip was over and it was time to go back to the school, I took one look at those steps and I knew I couldn't put myself through that again. So I stayed back and waited for my uncle to come pick me up. I gave up from that point on. I avoided taking the bus because it gave me such a sensation of indescribable anxiety. For something so minimal to most people, it terrified me. Just this past September was my 2nd-year anniversary of being diagnosed with Myasthenia Gravis. On this day, I had to go to the grade 9 Msgr again, only I was helping run it. After a year of completely avoiding the bus, I faced my fear. I got up onto that bus, and I don't think there was any greater feeling than the amount of pride in myself when I got onto that bus. Thank you. I had kept telling myself, you're not going to be able to do it, you're just going to fall, but I did. I got up onto that bus, getting my picture taken, feeling like I could do anything. I've been given support through these times of weaknesses and these times of triumphs, but I've also found support and encouragement in unexpected places. I had tried going to these MG support group meetings in hopes to be understood, meet somebody that was just like me. I tried going to meetings, but I just wasn't getting what I was hoping for. The youngest person there majority of the time was probably 50. They were very welcoming, but I still felt alone. This was when my mom found a Facebook page supporting kids with Myasthenia Gravis, which changed everything. Soon I was talking to 7 kids all over the US, the UK, and even Canada who were going through what I was going through. Wow, this is somebody else's normal. Sharing our stories and similar struggles was the most healing to my soul and my acceptance of myself. I was fortunate enough to connect with a girl that shared the same neurologist as I do, and I got to meet her after my surgery at Sick Kids. You can have anyone around you supporting you, but there's just something special between people with the same disease who knows what you're going through with words of encouragement and strength, giving me a whole new definition of normal. Drama was the place I felt I belonged. Drama taught me that it's okay not to be normal. The world of characters is so different and complex. I was able to be myself. It was my outlet. I'm tired of being me right now. Let me be somebody else. But I never lost who I was. I started regaining self-confidence, which I hadn't seen in myself in a long time. I started doing more, reaching new goals, doing things I never thought I could do, instead of moping around, thinking of the things I couldn't do, and just feeling sorry for myself. At the beginning of the year when the grade 9s came for their orientation, one of my best friends and I had to give an introductory PowerPoint presentation because of our involvement in leadership. We gave our presentation in the drama room in front of a grade 9 boys gym class who had no interest in what we were saying and just wanted to go to the gym and shoot some hoops. Every chance I got, I would tell them, take drama, you'll love it. I probably sounded like a broken record, and all their questions ever had to do with was, when does this sports team start? But the point was that drama had changed my life and allowed me to be me. In saying this, I have learned that not everyone will understand your differences, but that's okay. That's what makes the world so fascinating. All the mysteries. You can be a mystery. I have an amazing network of friends and some family who accept me, my limitations, my differences, and love me for who I am. I am so grateful for all the nurses, my neurologist and his nurse, who care for my health and truly care. Those special nurses up on 4C at Sick Kids, along with the receptionists, who always bring a smile to my face every 4th week when I come for an IVIG. It's hard sometimes to think of the positives, but I am so grateful for meeting all of the people through all that has happened to me in the past 3 years. By sharing my story up here today, I feel like it's my second chance from that speech at grade 8 graduation. Normal, I believe, isn't something to be proud of. It doesn't make you a person achieving incredible things. Facing obstacles and passing them more determined and with a greater outlook is what success is. Your obstacles do not define you, and I think that's what we all forget when we're hit with curveballs that weren't in our master plan. I know I'm still learning this. Don't let society tell you that you aren't worthy enough to be an extraordinary human being. You determine that through finding yourself. Normal is the standard? No, you pick the standard. Thank you.